This out, a sense of place. It is the city of Lexington's plan to recognize and preserve historic black hamlets in Fayette County. In less than 30 minutes, community members will gather in Utteringtown to discuss fundraising to finish the restoration of the Cadentown School and Cemetery. And
WKYT's Grayson Passmore and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw take us to Cadentown to show us the current condition of the historic sites and why there is a push to preserve them. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
It just makes sense that people are aware historically about these communities.
Reverend Leon Slater of Cadentown Missionary Baptist Church is a member of the Sense of Place campaign. A Sense of Place's goal is to raise $500,000 to preserve the Cadentown schoolhouse. This is one of 5,000 Rosenwald schools built throughout the South in the early 1900s, designed to educate African American children. This is the only one remaining in Fayette County.
25 years ago, it did have some work done on it, but since that time, without maintenance, it has fallen into some disrepair.
And behind the school, there is a cemetery. Vegetation has taken over the burial grounds. Funds will be needed to restore the site. Reverend Slater says there are about 100 people buried back here, but the weeds hide their headstones.
Carter. That's Mr. Carter.
While we were in the cemetery, we discovered something from the past, an outhouse.
Well, I have never been in here. Somebody has broken in here. Now, you talking about historical, man, that is awesome. And it's a two-seater. A two-seater.
Historical black hamlets were once located out in the country, but now new development is constantly expanding, impacting the existence of the hamlets. Cadentown has seen commercial development come into its territory, something Reverend Slater sees as a threat to his community's future.
Somebody said progress. You got to get used to it. But I don't see progress on the homes on 2nd Street or any of the other historical neighborhoods in Fayette County.
The Reverend tells us someone offered to buy the church, but they're not selling. They want to preserve what is in Cadentown. In Lexington, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
And to date, the ongoing campaign has brought in almost $200,000 from a variety of other sources. Funds will also be used to create spaces the community can use and to create a permanent home for this history of Lexington's hamlets.